In this video, I will be reviewing the CS 111 course map. The first one is Python Basics. The first part of this class is going to be getting familiar with Python, with variables, arithmetic, if statements, Boolean conditions, and loops. The second part is going to be all about functional programming. We know that computers take input, can use the input to then do something, and then give an output. In functional programming, we'll discuss how functions can do this for this and how we can design them. We'll talk about what can we input into a function, how can we manipulate that input, and what are we allowed to output. In this area, we'll be talking a lot about high-order functions, and we will also be working a lot with recursion. Step 3 is about data abstraction. This is going to be about how to handle large quantities of data or input. We do this through things called containers and data types. So these are things like lists and sequences. There's also things called dictionaries. We'll discuss how we access these individual pieces of data through our known as iterators, because we will create iterations, or we'll look at each individual part one at a time within our sequence or collection that we own. And we'll also be talking about something called generators, and that is a mix of an iterator and a function. The fourth part of this class, we will talk about objects. Sometimes the data we want to manipulate and track is not represented well through simple lists and collections. So we need to create our own kind of data. So for example, let's say we have a program that does banking, and we want to keep track of data for a bank account. We can create an object called bank account that will represent our account, and within that we can assign certain attributes to that object. So for a bank account, we may want the attribute of a name. We want to know who the account is under. We may want a routing number, an account number, and the current balance of the account. So then we also might want to do special manipulations to those attributes. So for a bank account, we may want to withdraw some money from it. Let's say we want to go to the ATM and get some cash. We can create a function that will specifically withdraw an amount of money given an input of the amount that we want. And we may also want to deposit money. Let's say you got a paycheck. We need a function that will take in a certain amount to deposit, and then that will transfer that money into our account. The fifth part is about languages. So once we understand how to get input, we understand how to manipulate it, how to represent it, we need to know how to communicate these ideas to the computer. And we do that through programming languages. And in this course, we'll specifically be talking about the language called Scheme. And this is a language that is completely based off of functions. There's no objects or anything, and it can do a lot of different things. You can do conditional statements, you can create lists with it, you can do math with it, but it's all based off of functions, which is why earlier in the course we'll focus on functional programming. So that way when we get to talking about this language called Scheme, you'll have an idea or a better understanding of maybe how it's working. So that is the CS 111 map. Hope you enjoyed this video, and good luck with the class.